This episode is brought to you by Starry. When you drink Starry Lemon Lime Soda, every sip is a win. Perfect for game time or anytime. It's a crisp, refreshing lemon lime soda that's caffeine-free and bursting with flavor that makes you go, ah. Starry hits different. Find it in stores or online today.
When Rupert here was a student at Clifton High School, none of us, myself, his teachers, his classmates, dreamt that he would amount to a hill of beans.
Hello and welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave and I'm one of the two hosts of this sparkling podcast.
And I'm Rich, and I'm the other host of this sparkling podcast. Think of me as Agent K to Dave's Agent J. I'm the grizzled old veteran, and he's the young whippersnapper looking to take my place.
That's very true, I am. The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests their best ever sequel, their worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, we quite often drift off and talk about movies and sometimes life in general.
This is a warning. We like to drop big spoilers. If we mention a film you don't want to be spoiled, go away, put some washing on, clean your, undies, come back, and it'll all be all right. Because in today's episode, we are joined by Sooz Kempner.
Sooz is a brilliant, award-winning stand-up comedian and also a fantastic singer and a podcaster too. Check out her 2 podcasts. She does the official Queen podcast and also a podcast called Mystery on the Rocks, which is all about cocktails and mysteries.
We're very excited to sit down with Sooz and chat all things sequels with her.
These are Sooz Kempner's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy!
Can you remember the first sequel you watched when you were young or got excited about?
Oh, what a good question. Do you know, I'm sure this wasn't the first sequel I watched because I was 9, but The Return of Jafar.
Yes!
That's a good answer for
Which
Dave. He
I
loves
believe
that.
is one of my answers, isn't it?
No.
No, it's not actually. No, it wasn't one of the answers I gave. It's Return of Jafar, I believe, is one of the first of the Disney legacy sequels that they started chucking out on video with fraction of the budget. And it exists to be like a pilot for a Aladdin TV show that they were hoping they could make. But as a 9-year-old, I had absolutely, I was watching it and I had absolutely no idea that this was bad and that the animation was not as good as Aladdin and that the script had obviously had less drafts and that I didn't even recognise that's a different guy playing the genie.
Yeah. Did you pre-order it like me?
No, it was it was in Tesco. I remember really well. It came out just after my 9th birthday and I was in Tesco and I said, "Oh, can I have that with my birthday money?" And my mum was like, "Sure." And then she had to endure that film being on all the time because my brother at the time would have been 6.5. So the two of us just let's watch The Return of Jafar again. We didn't have any Disney films on VHS.
Yeah.
That was our one that we owned. So we'd seen others through other people, but that was the only Disney film we had. So we thought it was the best one.
Well, it was good at the time. I haven't revisited The Return of Jafar because I've, like you, I actually hold quite good memories of...
Well, I watched it again for a show I was doing in 2018, my 2018 Edinburgh show.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to talk about my first Disney film I owned on VHS. I'm going to watch The Return of Jafar again, and it's fucking awful. So, is this a swear podcast? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, swear as much as you want.
Yeah, it's a fucking piece of fucking shit. It's just crap. It's really rubbish. They've got Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson, doing the voice of Robin Williams, the genie. And then Robin Williams comes back for the 3rd Aladdin film, The King of Thieves, which is better.
Is it? I've never watched that
But
one.
I don't think because of Robin Williams. It's better. It's like Aladdin's dad shows up and there's stuff about him it's this, sins of the father stuff made palatable for kids, and it's just a bit better. And Robin Williams is better than Dan Castellaneta at being the genie.
Does he do an impression of Robin Williams doing the genie? Is that the kind of...
A little bit, but also not enough. Like, there's various bits where you're like, that's just the voice of Homer Simpson. He's going like, "Ooh, it's me, the genie."
In my head, it's like Homer Simpson doing an impression of Robin Williams doing the genie.
It is not unlike that, yeah.
It doesn't have any memorable songs that I can remember, right?
No, and they kind of make the protagonist Iago, the parrot, and it's Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottlieb, that's his name, isn't it?
Yeah.
R.I.P. And he has 2 songs, 2 big solos, and one of them is called Just Forget About Love, and it's like a loungy kind of love is annoying, love is and he's like telling Aladdin to just get over it. No, he's telling Jasmine to just get over it, but it's like his voice singing it, so it's like, just forget about love.
He's not a singer, is he? Bless him.
No, he's not. He's going for it in the film, but it's just it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it'd be quite funny for him to sing a sweet kind of loungy love song for like 15 seconds, but 3 minutes of it, you're like, oh,
it's torture.
My eardrums.
Yeah. So you were a big fan of the original Aladdin, I'm guessing. How did? What age did you see that?
Yeah, I saw the original Aladdin when I was, I guess, 8. I know that people down our road had it, and they were. My mum was like, they said you can go around there and watch Aladdin. So like 1993, going around to like number 6's house, who were called the Honeymoons.
Nice.
Their surname was Honeymoon. Yeah, and they had like these not very nice sons, but they let us watch Aladdin on their video. And I went round there, and they put on one time that. Did you ever see it? It was called like Freddy 007 or something. It was like a British animation about a frog that was a spy.
No.
It's rubbish. It's crap. It was at the cinema in probably 92, 93. It's bad. But Grace Jones is really good in it. She's like a cool fish or something.
I need to watch that now.
Amazing.
No sequel to...
I
I think it's called Freddy 07 or something like that. And it's this bad animation about a frog. And people are like, some crows are trying to steal the Tower of London, or I think. I don't know. I saw that. Aladdin stuck in my memory more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I can't get over
Amazing.
Wow.
I've got to find this Freddy Frog thing now.
I'm going to find it. Because it's going to do my head in if I can't remember. Freddy.
There was James
07.
Pond, the Mega Drive or whatever.
Yeah, the Mega Drive game, and the Christmas themed James Pond 2.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a Christmas theme. Freddy as FR07.
Yeah,
it's called.
FR07, I found it.
So it's a parody of James Bond.
They always
frog
do well.
Is voiced by Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley and Jenny Agutter, John
Wow.
Sessions. It's got Brian Blessed in it.
It does have Grace Jones, I swear. Jonathan Pryce plays Trilby, a sneaky member of the Secret Service.
Amazing.
Look at this cast, man.
The cast is ridiculous.
Jenny Agutter.
What kind of animation is it?
James Earl Jones. Bad.
Bad. Okay.
The animation looks crap. It's who made it? Hollywood Road Films, which doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry.
I mean, it made $1.1 million by the look of it, so not a commercial
that seems
success.
like a lot, because I think this film is like a notorious bomb, but maybe they made like money on the video release.
Yeah. But Aladdin's better, right? And Return of Jafar is better than that.
Aladdin is a better film and made $2 million. I think Aladdin is one of the really good Disney films, which is not an original take. But there's that era, isn't there, from sort of Little Mermaid up to, and I guess you could include like Pocahontas and Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is kind of like Disney's amazing era. Even though I think Pocahontas and Hunchback are like, I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I saw a video, this isn't my take, but I saw a video essay someone did about Pocahontas where they're like, the problem with the character design of Pocahontas is she has no personality and you can't even tell what race she is. It's like they've kind of made her face so flat and formless that like, is this woman a Native American? I can't tell
yeah.
because they've kind of just created a flat formless sim.
Yeah,
She has
it's like
no
they're like,
personality.
we're going to do this film about a Native American, but we've got to appeal to the racists. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
Have you
yeah.
seen Pocahontas 2 when she comes to London?
Oh, yes. Years ago, when I watched a load of Disney sequels, I did see Pocahontas 2, and it is obnoxious.
Yes. That's got problems, I would say, kindly.
Yeah.
Rich, check it out if you haven't watched
Yes.
I'm never going to check that out. I'm not going to lie.
Tell you what's one of the better Disney video sequels is there's a Cinderella sequel they did where it's from the POV of one of the sisters.
it. Right. One of the evil
and it-
sisters.
And it gives her like a character arc and a reason why she was hating Cinderella, and it's actually pretty good. But it's one of those coming of age, sees the error of her ways stories, and I think it's quite good because I don't think Disney princesses did me any good growing up because they all kind of look the same and they're all so pretty, and if you don't fit the mold, if you're never going to look like a Disney princess, you're just going to feel gross if that's all you're watching growing up. So I think it's good that they made a straight-to-video sequel that no one's seen, where one of the sisters, who are described like they're the ugly sisters, they show her like coming of age and being a good person, despite her grotesque appearance, kids. More Disney princesses with big noses.
Yes, please.
Definitely.
Or little ginger princes. That's all I ask for as well.
Yeah.
I do have to quickly ask you about something. And I've listened to the
Okay.
Nick Helm film quiz episode.
Oh, yeah.
And you
yeah.
spoke about you had a cat. And that cat was
Yeah.
Jonesy in Aliens. Is that true?
Yes,
Is that true?
correct. Yeah, that's correct.
That's incredible.
So my mum...
You had a film star.
My
living
mum is
with
like
you.
a... Yeah, literally. There's nothing I will ever do that will match. Like, I could win an Oscar and I won't be as iconic as my own cat. That's something I had to come to
I'm
terms
so sorry.
with when I wanted to be an actor. He is an icon of cinema. Yeah, it's literally just my mum trained a woman. My mum's like a dressage trainer.
Right.
And she trained a woman who had this company that gets animals for film, TV and stage. So her dog, this woman's dog, I think she sort of took over the company from her mother, and her childhood dog is in Oliver, the musical movie.
Wow, right.
So in the 60s, that was her family dog. And yeah, so I'm trying to think what other things she's got animals for. She specialised in dogs, so because I worked for her for a while, so she got all the dogs for Legally Blonde, the musical.
Brilliant.
And Oliver in the West End, that when that was on about 15 years ago, we would just drive up the dogs in a van because you have more than one dog to do different bits in the show.
Yeah.
So there was like one dog that's
Yeah.
good at running across the stage and one good dog that's good at being on the lead. It's really annoying. But yeah, they needed a cat for Jonesy in the second Alien movie. And she went, and she
Amazing.
was like, Anna, would your cat hiss on cue? Because that's what they were having trouble getting. And my mum went, yeah, just get another cat out near him. So they did that.
Movie magic.
Brilliant. I can't
So
imagine
he's
my
Jonesy.
dog. I can't imagine my dog being in a movie. He'd just be useless and do exactly the opposite of what anyone wanted him to do.
Would he do stuff for food? Because everything's done with food.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably would.
Yeah, literally, they get fed little bits of chicken all day and they don't give them lunch. So the equivalent is a whole lunch through the day. And it is amazing what, like, the worst behaved dog will do.
Do they get pampered a lot? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're treated really
did your
well
cat come
on
back
set.
like walking around like it's royalty?
Oh, he's a cat. He already thought he
That's
was
true,
the
yeah.
bee's knees.
That is true.
His name was Boris.
Oh, bless him.
Maybe it's something about the name that makes you entitled. Like,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I used to think he was named after Boris Yeltsin, but he kind of predates it. He's. I think he would have been born 83. He is obviously dead now. So I don't know where my parents got the name from, but I think they just thought it was a funny name. But for years I was like, my cat is obviously named after Boris Yeltsin. What a funny thing to name a cat after. And then my mum was like, oh no.
It's not.
He predates.
Don't go around telling other children
the Boris Yeltsin craze.
What is your best ever sequel? What was your pick for this?
Right, I think that the best ever sequel is Scorsese's The Colour of Money, which is, people don't often think of it as a sequel because it's such a great movie on its own. But it's the sequel to The Hustler.
Yeah.
So it's a bizarre, it's a 1986 movie, which is a legacy sequel directed by Scorsese, who's kind of like, him and Spielberg, I guess, are kind of held up as the greatest Hollywood directors.
Absolutely.
And Scorsese's career includes a legacy sequel way before Marvel was doing that kind of thing. So, and Paul Newman won an Oscar for reprising the role that he'd played in The Hustler, nearly 30 years later. And it's Tom Cruise. And I think it is brilliant.
It is brilliant.
I actually think it's better than The Hustler.
I don't think I've ever seen The Hustler. Yeah.
Haven't you? I think I think I'd probably agree. I think it is better than The Hustler. And I think it's just brilliant. It's so accessible. Like, if you've never seen The Hustler and you've a lot of people go, oh, I've never watched a Scorsese. I've heard they're just like really dark and bloody, and it's like, no, Scorsese's so entertaining. And I think The Colour of Money is one of those like rollicking rides.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's the most un-Scorsese film, though.
yeah, this is a Scorsese light, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. I think it's a good intro.
Yes.
From what I understand, like Paul Newman kind of did most of the directing, and Scorsese just kind of like, was around.
I think there's because Scorsese's a weirdly unegotistical guy. He's kind of, I think one of the reasons his films are so brilliant and he gets such great performances from his actors is he creates a lovely atmosphere on set and a lovely sort of collaborative feel on set. And I imagine that played into it. Like, he saw Paul Newman go, I've got this idea, and he was like, brilliant.
Yeah. I guess if Paul Newman asks you to direct your film, you're like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah.
That's Paul Newman.
Yeah.
I read an article with Richard Price, who's the screenwriter, and they said, how did you come about it? And he went, oh, well, Paul Newman wrote it, really. It's just like, I just put my name to it. It's like Scorsese and Paul Newman just did it as a... Yeah, so it's by Walter Tevis, the novels. And then it was adapted, the screenplay was adapted, and he basically said, like, me, Paul Newman and Scorsese sat in a room and Paul told us what he wanted and we did it.
He's a legend.
Brilliant, right. It's great. And it's a pretty trad formula. We've seen it in the reboots of the Rocky franchise coming back. It's, here's that guy you remember who was young. Now he's old and gnarled, and he's got to train up a new guy who's just like him from before.
Oh, I love films like
and
this.
it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that in my DNA. How did you come across this? Did you watch The Hustler beforehand?
No, I had a media studies teacher when I was 15. I was doing my A-levels, so I'm 15, and he showed us Taxi Driver in media studies, and my eyes went boing. It's one of those films, because when you're 15, you hear the best music you're ever going to hear, and you see the best films you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
And I was the perfect age to finally see a film that made me go, this is a film for adults, and it's amazing. I love Taxi Driver, and I said to him, well, what else can I watch? I loved it. What else can I watch? And he thought, oh, brilliant!
I've got one here. Yeah.
It's like he was an educator who loved cinema and he loved Scorsese, and it's like, here's one of my students going, what else is there? And he gave me a stack of videos, not DVDs, but videos. And I saw Goodfellas, Casino, also was like, there was a taped off the telly, Who's That Knocking on My Door, which is the first Scorsese film. So I watched that and Mean Streets in the same night, going
Brilliant.
like, okay, I see how he makes this stuff now. I see where it all came from. And The Colour of Money. Brilliant. Yeah, and The Colour of Money is like I say, a film you wouldn't pick out as a Scorsese film.
Yeah.
But it is. It also is, because Scorsese he's such a cinema fan, and he's such he's really a genre filmmaker, and he can take any genre and put his stamp on it. Because people go like, oh, it's a shame he made Hugo, lol. I think Hugo's great. I think Hugo's a great kids film.
Do not bring that anti-Hugo.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think Hugo's great.
I don't think he's made a bad
Yeah.
film, Scorsese, really. I
No.
mean, he's tried something different. Silence is another one that people might not like, but I think so.
Oh yeah, people are
great
like,
film.
"Oh, I'll never get that 3 hours back of my life." It's like, it's okay to not like something. It doesn't necessarily mean it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I only saw Silence once, and that was enough.
Me too.
But it's one of those films. It's like, did you enjoy it? No, I don't think it's there to be like, I'm really enjoying myself. It gets under your skin. Same with The Irishman, which I actually did really enjoy because I think The Irishman is funny. I saw it in a packed cinema.
You watched it in the cinema, 5 hours of it, whatever it is.
Yeah, so I watched it. I saw it twice in the same week.
Wow.
Once at the London Film Festival, where the room was silent and people were making notes, and then I saw it a couple of days later. They showed it at the Prince Charles Cinema.
Yeah.
In their big cinema, which I don't know how many it seats, but it must be like 600-700. It's a big old screen. And I saw it with my mum and my friend comedian Chris Stokes. And my mum had a big coffee beforehand because she was like, right, I don't want to fall asleep. And she was like, I just remember she was absolutely transfixed. She thought it was amazing, but the whole cinema was laughing at the there's quite quippy dialogue and some stuff where Scorsese's got a good sense of humour,
Absolutely, yeah.
Al Pacino's Jimmy Hoffa is kind of outlandish and funny, and people laughing, and it was like a really enjoyable way of watching a film, way more than at the London Film Festival screening where everyone was silent.
Yeah.
And then the film finished and it was like
Critics.
deathly silence in there. Yeah, it was just critics
Yeah.
going. But yeah, that screening at the Prince Charles, one of the best experiences I've ever had watching a film at the cinema. It's amazing. And then the lights went up and my mum turned to me and my friend Chris and went, "Ooh, my goodness," like that. It had blown her away.
Have you showed your mum other Scorsese films since then?
Oh yeah. The only one that she disappointed me and because she was kind of like, oh yeah, it's good, but whatever, was Taxi Driver, because it got to the end and she was like, oh right, and I was like, no, you're meant to be blown away. And she just went, because the ending of Taxi Driver is he looks in his rearview mirror and you're like, oh, what the fuck's he seen? And then the film just ends. And my mum went, bit of a nutter, isn't he? Not very PC
That's
from
such
Anna.
a mum thing to say.
Oh my
You've
god!
just seen possibly one of the most important films of all time, and you're like, oh,
Yes, yeah, like redefine cinema, but don't worry about it, Anna.
Did you find yourself just looking at her while you were watching it, like, huh? That's Jodie Foster.
I try not. Yeah? Anna,
You talking to me?
who do you think that is? Look at her. Harvey Keitel, yeah? Huh? Yeah.
Nothing.
Nice to see Harvey Keitel in The Irishman, wasn't it? When he popped up, I was like, the old gang's back together. But yeah, The Colour of Money it's not a gangster movie. There's no De Niro. It's just a good old the master and apprentice film, which Scorsese has seen 19,000 different iterations of from 20 different nations, because he's a collector of all films. He's seen every film ever made. He's like that. And yeah, it's great.
We have to talk about Cruise. Were you a fan of the Tom Cruise at that time?
Go, when I was 15.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I'd have even...
Because he did like this and Top Gun back to back.
Yeah, and I think I hate Top Gun. I know people love Top Gun, but I'm kind of like...
oh, you make Dave cry. He loves
Sorry,
Top Gun so
Dave.
much.
It's just nothing. It leaves me so cold. It was around that time as well. He made Cocktail, which is just a garbage movie. It's terrible. So I think The Colour of Money was a good film for him to make. But the only film I think I probably was aware of when I saw Colour of Money, like when I was 15,
Yeah.
I'd seen Interview with the Vampire, but teenage Sooz, all eyes were on Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Still.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, he's aged well.
We got Days of Thunder because of this movie, because
Yes.
Paul Newman introduced Tom Cruise to like car racing and like inspired him to do
Mm-hmm.
Days of Thunder. So yeah, we've got Paul Newman to thank for this, for Days of Thunder, which is basically Top Gun in a car, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, 5 or 6 years later. Do you think also he made him make, what's that film? Far and Away. Is that the film?
Oh, I don't think I've
What's
seen
it
Far
called?
and
The
Away.
one, it's like about the land grab, Land Rush or whatever it was called. It's a stupid movie. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman are Irish and their accents are like, be-diddly-dee, ba-diddly-doo.
I actually think it's the one Tom Cruise film I've never watched.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
It's one of those films
Sounds
that
horrible.
I think, yeah, it's rubbish. I think we were taping something from the TV. It's sort of it'd probably be like the mid-90s, taping something, and then that film was on straight after that program, so it was on a video. And because you had limited entertainment in the mid-90s, just remember me and my brother watching Far and Away. Quite a lot of times. It's also the reason I've seen way too many times for an 8-year-old Lorenzo's Oil. Just watch Lorenzo's Oil again and again. Like, stop watching this poor kid go through this and with his parents like struggling to find a cure. And yeah,
That's a harrowing watch for a kid.
yeah. I probably maybe a bit older. Maybe I was 10. But yeah, I was like, getting in from school, going to watch Lorenzo's Oil again.
I was about to ask, was it the kids down the road who had that on VHS? You want to go see Lorenzo?
Yeah. The honeymoons have said, do you want to come round and watch Lorenzo's Oil?
It was like that when we were kids, though, right?
Yeah.
Netflix wasn't invented. Like, I talked to my son about a time before Netflix, and I swear he doesn't believe me. I was like, we just had to watch the same things.
There was no concept.
Yeah.
That's it. And like, can you even imagine being a kid and going like not into it and turning it off? Just didn't happen. You ploughed through whatever was put in front of you.
Even if you hated it, you watched it again and again.
Oh, yeah. And if your parents like rented you something, you better believe you're watching it 4 times in a weekend because like it's gone. On Monday it's gone.
Yeah.
You can never watch that again.
Yeah.
It's not just on your computer. We had a video van that used to come around.
Oh, you had a van as well. Rich had a
I
van.
don't think do you remember?
Yeah,
you had the
I had
video
that
van,
too.
video rental van.
Yeah.
And me and my brother would be like, the video rental van's coming soon. And we could go in and pick whatever we wanted. And so we rented one film and we watched it. And you had it for a week. And we watched it all week. But the sticker came off it.
Oh, right.
The top of the video, the sticker with the title and everything. So and it got lost in the video machine.
Oh, God.
We couldn't find it. So we stuck on a bit of paper with just the title written on it and was like, oh yeah, sorry, the sticker got lost. And they went, well, we can't rent it out without that. So you're going to have to pay for the film. So we paid rental and £10, which is why me and my brother paid £12 for Mr. Nanny.
The whole Hogan film.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, the film where ex-wrestler Hulk Hogan has to go undercover to look after some kids. And the kids are literally, like in Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin's trying to protect his house from 2 adult burglars who I believe it's canon that they're lovers. So he's trying to protect his house from 2 burglars, and so the acts are quite violent because he's trying to protect his house. It's all very slapstick, but that's what he's trying to do. These kids are doing this to Hulk Hogan, their babysitter, who's not trying to do anything bad to them, but worse. They're trying to do way worse to him, just as like pranks and stuff. It's awful. Like they electrocute him.
Well,
it's
looking
quite
back on
violent.
it, Hulk Hogan is a shit. So it's...
Yeah, to be fair, maybe they saw something we didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know, there's a story about Hulk Hogan. There's a guy who was a fan of his, was in a restaurant, and Hulk Hogan walked past, and he went, "Oh, hey Hulk, how you doing?" Hulk Hogan went, "I'd be a lot better if I had some of that sweet weed, brother."
Okay.
So that's fun, isn't it? That's a little insight into how Hulk Hogan feels.
I love the fact that you had a video van as well. You're the first person I've met.
Yeah.
I've talked about this in the podcast loads of times.
Village
You're the first
living,
person
man,
I've
isn't
met
it?
who's talked about the video van coming round. I didn't even live in a village. I lived in like a council estate in a town. Like, it was still a video van.
This is the other thing as well. Like, we had a video shop in our village. It was quite a towny village. It wasn't like a beautiful British countryside village with no shops for miles around. We had a video shop, but the video van used to come directly to your house.
Yeah.
So when they open the door to the back of the van, is it just like forward videos, or can you get in the van and dig around a little bit, or?
Yeah,
like
you
the
walk
side of the
in
van.
on either side.
Oh, right. Well, ours, like, you kind of open up the side of the van. Had like a roller shutter on the van.
Oh!
You'd open up the side and it was just all videos. Like a little, like,
That's
kiosk
nice.
thing.
Yeah, that's quite fun. Ours was back doors opened, and you could stand in the middle of the van and peruse either side.
That sounds much better than yours, Rich.
And
Yeah, it does. It does sound better.
So I'm going to give you a question of colour and money. If they did a third one,
yeah.
how would you feel about that? Like the Tom Cruise taking up the Eddie role, like that senior
maybe.
figure.
Okay, so Tom Cruise, there's no Paul Newman anymore,
No.
but maybe they could use CG to make him appear in the sky like Mufasa.
Yeah.
Everything the Q touches is a ball. But Tom Cruise would have to mentor like a street kid who was a girl.
Absolutely.
It's like girls can't play pool. So Tom Cruise and like the pool bar owner is like, you got to see this kid. She's really talented. And Tom Cruise is like, I don't know. And then he has to teach a girl to play pool properly and not be such a bloody showboater. And then she's like, well, what you made of your life? And he's like, trust me, a guy from my past taught me stuff you'll never know. And he's talking about Paul Newman, and we all tear up. We're like, oh.
Writes itself.
And it's called
Done.
Yeah. What could it be called?
Colour, the hustle. The feel of paper. The texture of carpet.
Turns out her mother's sick and she's got to play pool to get her.
Oh my God, this keeps getting
hospital.
bad.
And it's a comment on the American healthcare system.
It's so good.
Suddenly, I'm into it. Like I'm like, oh, cool. It's got politics and it's left leaning. I'm in.
At the moment, Tom Cruise is well into his legacy sequels, and I feel like a part like this would really help him instead of him just throwing himself off cliffs all the time.
Yeah, there's no stunts required. You know, he's done crazy shit to his face, so they could do some prosthesis where they just put a big scar on him or something. Why don't people just? I mean, I shouldn't be judgmental. Well, you know, why don't people just let their faces get old? But because Hollywood is a nightmare and society is awful and youth must be preserved above everything else. But like when people was slagging off Madonna for getting her. They were like, oh, she's got this crazy big fake ass. And I went, oh, do you know what? Hollywood and the music industry, it's terrible. I'm sure she has major issues around aging, but they haven't been created in a vacuum. Like, maybe leave Madonna alone. And then I saw it and I went, oh, Jesus, what has she done? It looks crazy. It looks like it doesn't look like an arse. It looks like a PS2 game and you just put a big bleh on the back of a
Is it wrong if I Google Madonna and arse now?
Yeah, no, look up Madonna's new arse and you'll be like, what has she done?
She just shoved a cushion down the back of her trousers. That's what it is.
It does look like a big round cushion. Yeah. It doesn't look like an arse. And there's no way she can feel anything. That's how it looks. And her face is like unrecognisably pillowy.
Oh, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
You found it, Dave?
Well, there's a picture of... I don't want to zoom in too much, poor woman.
It's got to be like an element of... Well, you look at someone like Robert Redford, who's had nothing done. He's 87. And you just go, oh, cool, it's Robert Redford. But then he does have the most amazing face to start with. So it's like getting old over a beautiful bone structure. So it shouldn't be like, oh, good for you for not getting anything pumped into your face or whatever.
And Tom Cruise had loads of work done like in his 20s, didn't
Well,
he?
look at him in this.
Yes.
He looks
completely
completely different in this, doesn't he? Yeah.
Is this pre-teeth?
No, this is post teeth.
Is it? There's a picture here. And he looks like he hasn't got... It's not outsider's teeth.
Well, yeah, I mean, he definitely had work on his teeth because one of his front teeth is in the middle of his face.
Yeah.
Rather than if you look at it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Once you've been told about that, you can never unsee it.
But
yeah, previously,
Vanilla
like
Sky.
his teeth were all over the place, weren't they?
Yes, which you know, like I don't know if dental work counts because it's slightly different to going like, hi. Make me look unrecognisable and so my face does not move.
Yeah.
You can always tell, can't you? When I've had people on Twitter have a go at me for having thin lips, like when trolls, they're like, let's find something about her face. Have a go. I know, thin lips.
trolls.
And it's weird because I actually I've got pretty regular mouth. I don't have weird thin lips. It's just we're now so used to seeing people have like pumped
Fillers.
collagen into their lips that... But you can always tell because there's always like a line where the injection is above the lips. So I would never get it done. It's because people just go, oh, she's got the line.
Yeah, we shared some trolls for a bit because I worked for a students' union and we put out a guide of how to spot like gender critical ideology if you're a trans student. And I've never had so much abuse in my life.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I
Isn't
do
it
feel
amazing?
like going,
yeah.
You realise this is students doing this. It's not me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't write it.
Absolutely.
But
And,
even so, I still stand by it.
What are you actually mad at?
Yeah.
The GC, the C stands for crazy, because they're out of their minds.
They are, definitely.
And it's basically something that exists in a tiny pocket of society, is blown up on social media and by the largely the British press. It's nuts how much it's become like this fake mainstream, and it isn't mainstream. People don't care.
And all they achieved by doing it was that, one, I had to take all my personal stuff off of Twitter, and two, I basically followed every trans activist I could find just to spite them. So they basically like turned me from your bog standard middle-aged white cis man into someone who's like firmly like supporting trans rights. So they had completely the opposite effect.
That's it. Oh God, one came to my show the other night and I was like, have they, because I'm like one of their main enemies because I'm a cis woman. Yeah, you get a lot, and I never shut, because they're all like, women won't wish. I'm like, yeah, good idea. I'll never shut the fuck up about it. So, I don't fit with their agenda because they're like, no, you're meant to hate them the most. Like, well, sorry, I just don't, because you people are awful. But one of like the main ones came to my show the other night, but it turns out she was just a friend of someone in the audience. And I was like, we've had long talks on Twitter where she's like trying to create pylons for me, and I'm not locking my account and I'm not backing down. But trouble is, and then she eventually blocked me. And the thing is, she obviously just doesn't remember because this has happened so many times. But it was Suzanne Moore.
Oh right, I don't know who that is.
She was a Guardian journalist. I think the Guardian.
Oh, I do know who that is. Yeah, you're right.
Either she quit or the Guardian sacked her. Like, imagine being too transphobic for the fucking Guardian. But yeah, she. I was like, she's at the show, and the show has various songs where. The show's called Wrong Songs, and it's by this guy Richard Thomas, who wrote Jerry Springer the opera with Stuart Lee, and so he's playing and I'm singing 75 songs, and like loads of them are like, we've got one about Matt Hancock that just goes, stupid white cis cunt fucking his assistant, and like they hate even just hearing the word cis for her will make her go like, oh. And afterwards she just went, bye, that was like, thank you, very good. And I was like, oh, see, you won't even stand up to your convictions and tell me off for saying stuff that's pro-trans in the show. It was like, not that I'm like, oh, that's annoying, she didn't even have a go at me, but there's no way she remembers who I am.
Well, I think people are big and brave when they hide behind their computer, aren't they? And then
that's it. Yeah,
I find it a lot when people are big and brave but hiding behind the computer, and then they meet me and I'm 6'6" and 3 foot wide, and they don't tend to be so brave anymore.
Suddenly, they're not so keen to headbutt. Yeah. I'm 5'1" and sort of about just under 8 stone soaking wet. So there's they could punch me. I square up to people though. I like when I see. I've done it a few times because I think my size protects me a bit. I've seen like there was a big guy. Yelling at station staff. This is about 4 or 5 years ago, but he was like yelling at a small black woman because the trains were cancelled, because they always fucking cancelled, and he was yelling in her face. And I went, my brain didn't go, I must stand up for justice. I went, oh, brilliant. And I like squared up to him and I was like, oh, you want to shout, do you? And I was calling him princess. And he was like getting right in my face. And I was like, you're going to hit me, princess. You're going to hit me, princess. And he ended up just walking away. But I think my size protected me there, because I think in his brain he went, this is going to look bad if I punch a 5'1". And I walked away like, ha ha ha. But the thing is, I've been on the phone to my mum at the time, and then just sort of been holding the phone, and she went, what was happening there?
Yeah.
And I was yelling at some bloke. He was yelling at a woman.
Just Monday.
He was yelling at a black woman, and then when a white woman stood up to him, he went, "Oh no, I don't want to fight."
People are awful.
Yeah, people are
amazing,
awful.
Isn't it?
That's your takeaway.
Yeah,
from
aren't they the worst? And my sequel will be the next time I do that, which was, I think, the same year. Lots of terrible big guys out there.
Exactly.
On to terrible big guys.
I think I'm the middle height, so people will punch me.
They will, yeah, they'll go for it.
I think, yeah. I think you're prime target, Dave, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Also, I'm highly sarcastic, so that gets me in a lot of trouble. What has been your most disappointing sequel? So not your worst sequel, so it doesn't have to be a bad film.
Ooh.
So you went in high and you came out low. You're not angry, you're just disappointed.
Clerks 2.
Clerks 2.
Yeah.
Really? Wow, I like Clerks 2.
I loved it when I saw it at the cinema. I was 21 and I loved the original Clerks. And like 21, you were like, you're a good age for Kevin Smith. Having watched it again recently, I was like, fuck this movie.
Really?
Wow.
Why?
Yeah, I was like, so why are Dante and Randall working in a fast food place? They'd be office workers.
Mm.
They're like lower middle class. They're lower middle class white guys in New Jersey. They would have a really boring office job where they doss a lot. I don't buy this like wish fulfillment thing where they've got the Dante character. He's got the hottest girl in school is now his fiance, and he's having a thing with Rosario Dawson, who for some reason is the manager of a fast food place. She wouldn't be. She'd also be working in this office.
That's definitely the most unbelievable thing in any Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
Is that Dante is going out with Rosario Dawson. Come on.
Yeah, two hot women are like, we want him so much. I think I really enjoyed the Elias character when I watched it at 21. And watching it now, it's like it's really funny and really well performed. But it's like something out of a different movie. That like the tonal shifts in Clerks are really well handled, and in Clerks 2, it's kind of like it's like having a road accident each time. Like, oh, what are we doing now? And I think the donkey sex show is like kind of woefully unfunny and goes on for so long. So that's my
I think you're probably
Clerks
right
2.
about everything you said.
I think you just ruined my life.
To this point, I was like, but I like Clerks
I'm really
2.
sorry.
Clerks 2 is good.
I have done this to people with several films where I'm like, let me tell you why I didn't like it, and then they go, oh fuck, actually shit. I don't go, I just think it's dog shit. I just think it's rubbish.
Yeah.
I'm not like that about films.
Did you get show Clerks in your media class when you were 15 again? Was he?
Yeah, that's how I got introduced to Kevin Smith. And there's something so inspiring about the original Clerks.
Yeah.
If you see it, I saw it in like the year 2000. It had been out 6 years, I guess, at that point. It's there and it's so cheaply made. And it made me like write my own version of Clerks. That wasn't Clerks, but it's like my version of Clerks, you know. And I go, you can just. We never made it, but it's that thing where you go, yeah, you can just make a film if you want to just make a film, just make a film.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith is very good at going. P.S. I was incredibly lucky; it got picked up. This film could have been seen by nobody. It got picked up by the Weinstein company. Oh no! But before we knew, and luckily for Kevin Smith, with their expertise, that company's expertise, they went, here's what we're going to change about it. We're going to do, I think, did they do another grading of it?
I think so.
So it looks better, and it's still in black and white, but it looks much cleaner. They changed the ending. They marketed it brilliantly. And it was a very, very unlikely hit. Now, the film he then made was Mallrats, which has a lot of the problems of Clerks too.
It's my favourite. Oh God.
I think it's entertaining. I do think Mallrats is an entertaining film, but it's like neither of these women should want either of these men.
100% agree with that. They're awful, the men. Yeah.
It's it's a second film. I think that Dogma remains a masterpiece.
Yes, agreed.
I don't think he's ever made anything as brilliant as Dogma. I think Red State is really excellent.
Yeah, that's one people haven't really watched.
Yeah, Red State was quite disturbing, and I loved that he took such a swing, and that was really brave, audacious filmmaking. Haven't really liked anything since.
Have you seen Clerks 3? How do you feel about that?
Do you know what I did? With Clerks 3, I saw the trailer and went, oof. And then I did something which I would never normally do, which is I read the plot synopsis and I went, I am never watching this fucking movie.
Oh my God, Rich.
No way. I was like, kill all of them. Destroy.
What point of the plot did you read that put you off out of interest?
When they went, and they're going to make a film to show Dante.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
It is a bit meta. It is a bit too meta.
Like, yeah, I think I like that he's such a sentimental man, but everybody needs an editor. It's like when Ben Elton made The Right Way.
Yeah.
I think Ben Elton is a nice guy with his heart in the right place, and The Right Way could have benefited from an editor.
Have you seen Clerks 3, or have you?
No, I don't think she has, Rich.
No,
No, you haven't seen it. Okay, yeah, it's.
Oh, sorry. Do you not?
Yeah, sorry.
Have I given you a spoiler?
No. We've
not
seen
at all.
it.
No, we've seen it.
You have seen it. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
we went
Did
to
you
the
love it?
Charles Cinema and watched it. Yeah, because
Love is not the word I would use.
I mean, come on, I'm a tubby, beardy stoner of a kid. Of course, I loved Kevin Smith. Like, what else would
See,
I
this
do?
is the other problem I've got. I never smoked weed. I've never
okay.
even had one puff on a weed cigarette. So for me, as Kevin Smith has become a stoner, I feel like, I don't know, because he wasn't a stoner before he made, he made Zack and Miri, he started smoking loads of weed. Which is, quite surprising to people who've seen the films. But I think, like, his approach to Jay and Silent Bob with him not being a stoner meant that I could relate to them more. I don't know. Even though, like,
I get that.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back I don't think it's very good.
It's not as bad as the reboot.
Yeah, that's it. He's made another one, hasn't he? And I just think, I don't know if being extremely high and people just letting you make your films and they don't really touch them is always conducive to a brilliant career. It's just my opinion, though. I don't think, like, I'm so above Kevin Smith at all, or indeed Ben Elton. Ben Elton's amazing. But he did make The Right Way.
Yeah.
I think with Clerks 3, it is exactly what you expect it to be, and it's meta and it's schlocky and it's sentimental, and yet at the same time it's still finished, and I was like, oh, bit sad now.
Yeah, it did bring a tear to my eyes.
Yeah. Right. It worked on you.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sorry.
Brian O'Halloran, I think he's just such an unengaging screen presence. I don't know what he does when he's not playing Dante in Kevin Smith films. Like, what does he do?
I don't know.
Does he have rich parents?
Maybe.
I have no
Does
idea.
Kevin Smith just help him out with an allowance? Because he can't get any other acting work. He's in The Happening, that terrible M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Is he?
Where
Is he?
the plants make you kill yourself.
The Wind.
Yeah, he's in it. I'm not even sure he's got a line of dialogue because they cut it or you see him, but he's like in that car when, they're in the car and there's a gap in the roof of the car and John Leguizamo sees it and why do I know this film so well? But he's like, oh, there's a gap in the car. I think Brian O'Halloran is driving the car.
Okay. I can't
But you
remember.
don't see
I can't
him.
remember.
Like, so I went, oh, he was in other films. I mean, he probably picked up a $5,000 check for being in that and not even being seen. But yeah.
I mean, he's not prolific,
I expect
is he? But,
he's not, and I just don't think he's very good. He's kind of got one style of acting, which is, no. Like, he would just have a wife. In Clerks 2, he would just have a mousy shrew wife who'd tell him off all the time, and be written quite sexistly but Kevin Smith isn't really like that, so instead he's like going out with the hottest girl from school.
Exactly. Yeah.
now that she's an adult. Anyway, I'm being horrible.
That's all right.
I used to be on the Kevin Smith message boards, so I've made friends for life from the Kevin Smith message boards, and yet I'm like, ugh, those movies. But I do think Dogma is a perfect film.
yes, it is, definitely.
What is your worst ever sequel?
Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas.
Oh God, it's terrible.
The Fast and the Furious, The Enchanted Christmas. Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas is a straight-to-video Disney sequel. It's a cash-in. The animation's not as good, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of a midquel, because it's kind of Beauty and the Beast 1.5, because it covers just it's like deleted scenes from the film. And it's just it's Belle trying to make the Beast enjoy Christmas and see the magic of Christmas. But it dispenses with everything about the character of Belle from the first film. So in the first film, people often say, oh, Beauty and the Beast is a film about Stockholm Syndrome. But Belle spends the majority of the film going, fuck this for a game of soldiers. Like, she doesn't fall for the Beast because she just gets used to being trapped in there. Like, she tries to escape a few times. She's only there because she's like sacrificing herself for her dad. And the Beast saves her life one time, and there's like character development in that bit. Whereas in Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, she's like, oh, I just really want to make the Beast happy at Christmas. And it stinks.
I mean, there's a lot that stinks about this movie, but yeah,
It's rubbish.
It stinks.
Bad songs, bad dialogue, bad movie.
How did you watch it first time round? Was this, video
I say
van?
the mistake I made was the mistake I made was watching it about 5 years ago. So I was like, I'm in my 30s. Time to watch Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas.
I didn't even know it was a thing until my wife brought it up to me. And she was like, unlike you, she watched it when she was little, and she made her mum watch it like 4 a.m. one Christmas, and it's magical to her.
Right.
She's like, it's so brilliant. I was like, I've never
Yeah.
watched it. And I was like, I don't think it's ever come to England. Obviously, it might have done. And then eventually we found it on...
Yeah, probably just on video, right. Is your wife American?
She's Canadian, yeah.
Canadian. I got a Canadian boyfriend.
They're great.
They're weird, aren't they?
She might hear Sooz.
They're a bit weird Canadians, aren't they? They've got a kind of imposter syndrome built in because they like Americans, but not really.
Oh, don't ever compare them to Americans, though. They don't take that well.
I'm not very nice to my boyfriend, actually. Thinking about it. He's nice to me all the time, and I just go, you're like an American, but not really.
Oh, if I said that, I'll be living on the street.
See, she's got through her Canadianness.
Yes, she's been here
Become a
10
proper
years
human.
now. 10 years.
Oh, yeah, see, if you come here, then you realise, like, oh, Canadians are fine, actually.
Yeah.
Nothing's lower than a Brit, let's face it. We're full of guilt, aren't we? I'm so
this
sorry.
is true.
We love to queue.
Yeah, I'm British and of Jewish origin. I'm like just full of guilt. oh dear, what did I do? What did I say? And you're remembering things from 10 years ago and going, oh God.
Yep.
Love to queue. We actually hate queuing, don't we?
We hate it, but we're good at it.
The thing that Brits love. We have to do it and we hate it.
It's like a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But she
Sorry, I've gone off.
gone
about
off. We
Canadians.
keep doing this. She loved this when she's little, and every year she makes me watch it. And I'm like, please don't let me watch it. And then we bought it to HMV because she saw it, and she was like, you told me it never got released here. I was like, damn it, that she found it.
Oh, we can't watch it. It was never released.
And then fucking Disney Plus comes out, and they put it on that as well now. So I really can't get away.
Yes,
from it.
and now you can watch it twice.
Yeah. Please.
I watched it at like 10 o'clock at night on my own.
You've seen it on your own. Did you watch it for this?
Yeah.
I watched it for
Oh,
this,
I'm sorry.
yeah. It was like 10 o'clock at night,
What's the worst
sitting and watching it on my own.
What's the worst sequel you've ever had to watch for this podcast?
Well, there's so many in different layers.
There are. I think Rosie Holt's The Howling 2 was pretty awful.
Oh no! Oh,
But
see,
this
I
is
could have gone
close.
down that route. Yeah, it's kind of. It's like having sugar and acid pumped directly into your eyes and ears, isn't it? With a big syringe, like
Yeah.
plunger.
It's weird though because
Awful.
all the voice cast are back, and you've got Tim Curry
Yeah.
as the bad guy. So how can that be bad?
Oh yeah, that's the
it
other
is.
thing. Tim Curry's playing like an organ who seems to be in love with the Beast,
It's weird, right?
and he's like driven him mad.
But also, the organ, I don't get the organ. He complains bitterly that he's an organ and he can't move about and he's chained to the wall, but he doesn't want to
Yeah.
doesn't want to turn back to a human again. So it's
He
the
loves
whole
being
thing
an
trying
organ.
to be an organ, despite hating being an organ. It's like,
I think it's
what?
like, it's like how I don't like being short. However, I'll never change a thing. me and Tim Curry and the organ are like that.
Same thing.
Tim Curry's such good value, isn't it? He plays every role like it's a dream role,
His voice,
even though he's just playing an organ. He's fantastic.
The animation of the organ's just bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
it's separate to the rest of the movie. It's like, okay, we're going to spend all this money just on the organ's face, but everything else look like dog shit.
What year is it? Is it like 98?
No, it's
Beauty and the Beast, Enchanted Christmas?
97.
97.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're still early-ish days of CG.
I bet they thought that looked amazing at the time.
Yeah, and it will have been done on the cheap because it was like the cheaper wing of Disney was these straight-to-video sequels. So, because nowadays you can do pretty good CG on a budget, and if the design is good and the talent's there, then the CG can still look good and inverted commas expensive. Whereas in '97 you couldn't scrimp because it would just look like bad video game graphics.
And it does.
It does, yeah.
So I'm guessing when you were young, you were a fan of Beauty and the Beast, or...
Oh, Beauty and the Beast is my favourite Disney animation.
Oh, here we go.
And as someone who didn't really grow up with Disney films, other than Return of Jafar, I'd like seen Little Mermaid and stuff, but we didn't own stuff like that. So the film I'd seen, my animation was Watership Down.
Wow.
Which I think explains a lot about me. So we had that on video.
That's
like,
heartbreaking too.
So when I saw Bambi, I think I saw Bambi when I was about 8, and I was not remotely fussed with the mother dying. You know, when that bit happened, I remember watching it and being
watching Watership Down and Lorenzo's
Exactly.
Oil on repeat.
I have a distinct memory of watching it for the first time because it was in a class, end of term, they're putting a film on. So we all watched Bambi, and kids were like, couldn't believe it. And I can remember looking around and thinking, like, this is just part of life. Yeah, it's sad for that deer, but this is just part of life. Having, like, never lost a parent or had a parent who'd been sick or anything, like, but I do remember going, like, yeah, guys, the mother's died and then life goes on. So I think I'd, like, been trained by Watership Down, which the first time I saw, I was absolutely distraught. And I thought about it later in bed. I remember that night, having watched Watership Down, thinking about it later in bed and sobbing. Like,
I'm not surprised. Like, how that got to be a kids' movie. Christ.
It's so brutal. But even the ending is the peaceful death of old age of our main protagonist. And it's so brilliantly done because you've seen Hazel, the main rabbit in Watership Down, guide these rabbits who are trying to escape their oppressive warren through and oversee, like, the death of friends and so bravely fight for their space. And then it cuts to Hazel as a very old rabbit, and the god of rabbits comes down and goes, hey, come with me, you've done enough and they'll all be fine. And it is devastating as an adult, and it works on kids as well. Like, I'm thinking about it now going, like, fuck, man, that's emotional. And then they remade it for BBC, like, as a 4-part.
Did they?
Did they?
Yeah, about 4 years ago. And it's bad.
Oh, okay.
It, like, forgets everything that was good about the original. It's like got a weird, like, rom-com element to it. It's crap and completely unaffecting. And I went, ugh, and it looks like it was PS2 cutscene.
Oh, okay. No one ever said then.
It's really, I like it. They've messed up with an amazing cast as well. Like Olivia Colman's in it, and
Oh, she's great.
It's like Beauty and the Beast and Magic Christmas all over again.
Yeah.
Enchanted Christmas, sorry.
The Enchanted Christmas.
Did when you rewatched it the first time, was it at Christmas or was it just for your show you were putting on?
It was just for the show. I was like, I want material on Disney sequels, and then I found out that comedian Tom Tuck had done a whole show about Disney sequels, and I went, oh, I'll pare that bit down and I'll just do Return of Jafar. And apparently me and Tom had some parallel points to Return of Jafar, which he brought up with me like I'd stolen his bit. I was like, I heard Gilbert Gottfried singing and went, that's terrible. I don't think we're alone in that.
Yeah, that's bad. Oh, wow. I wonder what he made
There's a
of this
voice
one.
you want to hear.
Yeah.
I should watch his show. I should watch the show because I'm sure he brings up Beauty and the Beast, the Enchanted Christmas.
It probably was the last of its kind, wasn't it? Like, I can't see Disney.
I don't think so.
No, there was.
I think they kept making them. There's like
'cause the
Simba's
Hunchback of
Pride.
Notre Dame has a.
Well, we.
Oh,
wasn't it?
God.
Someone's pitched, Hunchback of Notre Dame too.
Bloody Nunchback. That's his Wario. The Nunchback of Notre Dame.
Brilliant.
Oh, God.
Just created an evil character there, Dave.
Quasimodo.
That would have been better than the sequel we watched to that as well. So.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I'm trying to remember the sequel to Hunchback. I remember, I just had a visceral reaction. I remember it. It's not. Do they go on holiday or something?
No, it's slightly racist, is what I remember. Again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes
that
sense.
seems to be the theme of the Disney straight-to-video Disney sequels. Is there's always a touch of racism or something.
There's something slightly racist.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up the Hunchback 2.
It was.
Yeah,
They had a kid.
Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, Return to Cyberspace.
They had a kid and the Travellers. There was a lot more Travellers.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not even as good as Dave's making it sound right now.
Oh, he gets a girlfriend. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, he does get a girlfriend.
2002.
It got delayed for about 4 years. So it was actually.
Yeah, I think Esmeralda's race changes like 4 times in the one movie.
Is Esmeralda in it? What's she doing there?
She's married to the
to the
prince
prince
first.
guy, the captain guy, whatever his name is. Yeah,
And it's Demi Moore. Oh, Demi Moore and Kevin Kline are back.
All
yeah,
the
they
cast
brought
are
the
back.
cast back. It's just really
Haley
shit.
Joel Osment as the son of Esmeralda and Phoebus.
Well, he was just Disney's go-to guy because he's Chip in the Enchanted Christmas as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, poor Haley Joel. He's grown up to be a good lad, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Considering he was a major child star, very lauded, and he's grown up and he does like fun stuff.
yeah. It's nice to see a kind of child actor be an actual human rather than.
It happens so much more now, doesn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
these child actors, they've been like well looked after and they grow up quite nice. That kid in Room, I think he's going to be all right. Remember him?
It's a different era now, I think. Hopefully,
It is, yeah. We're not Julie Garlanding them anymore.
My wife still blames you, Dave, for us watching Room. She's like, you recommended we watch Room, and she's like,
it's
this
so-
is the most
so
harrowing thing I've
amazing.
ever
It's a good
seen in my
film,
life.
though.
It is. Oh, but uplifting ending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But she like
Like,
she won't even think
if you're
about
listening
it.
and you're going like, oh, it is devastating though. I watched Room. Obviously, you've got the middle section. I mean, no spoilers if anyone's like, oh, I've got to watch this crazy
We'll do a
movie.
spoiler
Room.
warning at the start. It's all right.
The middle section of Room where the kid is trying to carry out her escape plan. I watched it at home. I didn't see it at the cinema, and I suddenly realised I'm standing up. I was standing up and like doing it along with him.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then I was just like, oh.
We watched it and I was like, that is a great movie. And my wife looks at me and like, why did you make me watch this? I was like, well, Dave
And
said
you
it was
have
good.
a kid as well.
Yeah.
Did you have kids at the time?
Yeah, he was really little
Right.
then as well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine it hits different if you've got kids.
Yeah.
Because my mum was devastated.
What's the Ewan McGregor thing where it's like...
The Impossible.
The Impossible. I remember having to turn that off. I
Is
watched
that
that when
the
he was
one
about
that's
6
set
months
in
old.
hurricane?
Yeah.
Tsunami.
hurricane or a tidal wave?
Yeah, in
Tsunami.
Sri Lanka, wherever it was.
Yeah, I watched about
Yes, of
20 minutes of
course.
it and had to turn it off. I was like, nope,
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
That's a
They're
great
like, I
film
don't
as well.
care how happily it ends. I just
Yeah,
can't.
Just
Yeah.
can't watch kids go through this. Like, sorry. No.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I've got a next question for you. It's kind of opposite to the disappointing question, which is, Is there ever been a sequel that has kind of flipped? So you didn't like the first or second one, but then you came around to it in the end.
I think I already said about the third Aladdin film, King of Thieves, and the third Cinderella sequel, which I can't remember the name of, but they're like surprising. They've been made with a surprising amount of care and imagination. Because actually the worst Beauty and the Beast sequel isn't The Enchanted Christmas, but it's more fun to talk about, and it's more annoying. The worst Disney sequel is probably Belle's Magical World, which is...
I've never heard of it.
It's barely a film. It's 4 little stories, and it's just Belle going, oh, here's another one of the little stories. And that is for tiny
I
children.
think I've seen that. God, I think my son has watched that.
Right. I did, but the reason it's so bad is because it's just so half-assed.
crap,
Like
yeah.
they've barely bothered. But I think Disney's The Enchanted Christmas is more of a fuck you to the original Beauty and the Beast than Belle's Magical World. But like there's the occasional Disney sequel that has been made with like someone quite thoughtful has put together the story and screenplay and been allowed to follow through with that on the screen, even though a lot of these Disney sequels are you can just put any old shit on, the kids or the parents will buy it, and they haven't done that in those. There's the only 2 cases I can think of. I don't know, I can't think of other good Disney sequels.
It doesn't have to be Disney sequels.
Could be,
Other good sequels.
Yeah.
I mean, Aliens obviously is an amazing sequel.
But did you like the first one?
they-
Did you come back to it?
Yeah, so it's like maybe you didn't like the
Alien.
first one. Like we could,
Didn't like the first one, and okay,
So we call it like
Ooh.
the Fast and Furious question, because a lot of people
right.
come to
'cause-
Fast and Furious
yeah.
at like 5 rather than like, yeah.
Gotcha.
This is the toughest question we
I
asked.
honestly can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
can't
is.
think of anything.
But you're right, like Cinderella 3 and stuff, that is kind of because obviously 2 would be terrible and you'd come
Yeah,
back to 3.
I
and it'd
can't
be
even
good,
remember what
and
2 was, but the third one sticks in my mind.
I
It's
think
like
3's called A Twist
cool
in
for, like-
Time. Twist
Oh,
in
so it's-
Time?
yeah, I think you're
is it?
right. Yeah.
I know. I've just
It is
been
better.
googling
Better,
like
better.
Cinderella movies.
That does sound about right.
Good example of this is like either the Bonds or the Marvels or DCs or anything that's like franchising.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, fucking.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not really I haven't really got into the Marvel films. I remember liking the first Iron Man film and then like going, there's fucking 30 of these? I am watching all that.
Yeah, I've got time for that.
Or is it, I'm happy for you though, or sorry that happened? Is that mean? Yeah, I apologise. I can't think of anything. I guess The Colour of Money would be my example.
No, that's a
Like,
great point.
wow, this is brilliant. Oh, it's a sequel. I'll watch the original. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the Dream sequel then. What is your dream sequel?
Okay, so it's Scorsese's The King of Comedy.
Nice. This is a great choice.
The King of Comedy, which is coming up on 40 years old
Really?
and
Mad.
holds up. Yeah, next year it'll be 40 years old, and it holds up better than ever. Like, oh shit! Every time I watch The King of Comedy, it got better. How did it get better? For people who haven't seen The King of Comedy, De Niro plays this guy who wants to be a stand-up comic called Rupert Pupkin, but he's obsessed with a chat show host played by Jerry Lewis, and he waits for his autograph after shows and stuff like that. And he really wants to be a stand-up comedian, and he knows he'll be just brilliant at it, but he's never done a gig. And one night he manages to get a conversation with Jerry Lewis, and he's like, look, I'm 34 years old. That was depressing the last time I watched it. And I went, I'm 34 years old. It's getting to the point where it's too late. And I know that I can do this, and I just need someone to give me my big break. And Jerry Lewis very kindly says to him, look, send your tape of your stuff to the office, and we will definitely get someone to listen to it. And if we like it, you'll definitely be on the show. And De Niro, and he says that to be kind and to get this guy out of the car. Yeah. And De Niro gets obsessed with this, and he's recording himself at home doing his stand-up and then playing laughter off a tape. And he's friends with like a stalker of Jerry Lewis, played by Sandra Bernhard, brilliantly. And they end up hatching a kidnap plan. They're going to kidnap Jerry Lewis to make him put the ransom is they have to put De Niro on the show to do his stand-up. And it's a lot like Taxi Driver. Like, he's a kind of Travis Bickle-esque character. But my spoiler is, the ending is he does get to go on the show and he's a hit.
Yeah.
Like, they love his hack, bad comedy, and he goes to prison for the kidnapping and comes out a huge star. I want to see what this guy's doing 40 years on.
This is my question. Like,
The ending, yeah.
is he a huge star, or is that in his head? Like,
I have
that's the-
always taken this at face value.
Really?
I do believe the film is cynical enough that it goes, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
'Cause look at what's happened. Look at what happens now. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse. That guy's not even fucking funny. That guy is famous and a hero because he shot 2 people and they died. Shot 3 people and 2 of them died.
Yeah.
That is all he is famous for. He has no charisma. He's not even handsome. Like, at least De Niro's handsome. Like, this guy, Kyle Rittenhouse has fucking nothing, and he's got people like Tucker Carlson meeting him and giggling with delight. People now love it. They don't care if someone's talented or fun or anything, just so long as they own the libs. And that's what I think. That's what we'd see. 40 years on, there's Rupert Pupkin, age 74 now, and he be on right-wing shows going like, well, vaccines aren't real and QAnon, and I think that's what we'd be seeing. And he'd be like a hero, free speech comedian for the alt-right, who are now just the right. They're not even called the alt-right anymore, are they? Because that is what the right is now. Rant. Peace
No,
and
you're
love.
right. You're totally right.
You're right.
As in, you're correct, not right. Like,
I'm like, according to the centre, I'm the crank left because I think sharing is nice.
Brilliant. Would you get Scorsese back? Would that be your pick for a director?
Absolutely. My God, can you imagine?
I can't imagine anyone else doing
Yeah.
it.
no, I can't think of anyone else doing it, and I think the Joker has shown us that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Joker?
I hate Joker.
Yeah,
I fucking
good.
hated Joker.
Good.
Oh, I'm so glad you guys hate it. And I was excited to see it because that first trailer set to Send in the Clowns, I was like, oh, fuck, man, this is going to be good. And I watched it. I went, oh, cool. So this is a film for people who think Taxi Driver is to be taken at face value.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like, Joker is basically someone who's seen Taxi Driver and King of Comedy and gone, oh, I could copy that.
Oh, I could remove all nuance
I could do
and
that,
make
but
it so
worse.
this guy is a good guy and not even an anti-hero.
Yeah.
I like the bit. My favourite bit in Joker, and this bit really pisses me off. You know, he's got his counsellor who he meets with. Like, she's a mental health professional. We see her at the beginning and she's like almost rolling her eyes at him. And then later on they meet and she goes, I have to tell you something, Joker. His name's not Joker. I have to tell you something, Joker. They're shutting down this whole department. And then she goes, they don't care about people like us. And when I first watched the film, I went, hang on, you don't care about him. That was the whole point of your character 40 minutes ago. Oh, also, any woman watching that film has gone, the second you see him on a date with his neighbour, you'd go, well, this is all in his head. I just went, oh, it's a fantasy sequence and we're meant to believe it is. And then later when it's like big reveal, it was a fantasy. I was like, oh, I see, we weren't meant to think that from the off.
Which is pretty much stolen from King of Comedy, right? That whole...
Right? Yeah.
It makes me angry, Joker, because I think Phoenix is great in it, but I think the whole...
Yes. Oh, he's working his arse off.
He is working, but the elements around, it's like, before I watched Joker, I watched Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. King of Comedy was the first time I watched it, and I thought, oh, that's a brilliant film.
Isn't it amazing? It's so underrated.
Especially it's an underrated Scorsese film. Like, when you're mentioning his films, you're like, oh, Goodfellas and blah, 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 and Raging Bull. No one mentions King of Comedy, and they should do, because also King of Comedy is under 2 hours long, and it absolutely flies through it.
It does fly through it, yeah. That's true.
It's brilliantly balanced movie. And De Niro is
so
just,
funny.
Oh, it's magic.
He's brilliant. He's so good, and he 100%, because I'm a comic, I've been a comic for nearly 14 years, and he absolutely nails the desperate, deluded open micer. Yeah. Like, how he knew what they were like in 2022, in 1983, even though he wasn't even a comic. I don't know how he knew, but somehow he's absolutely nailing it. And when he goes on at the end and he's doing this, like, TV-friendly, semi-disturbing, really hack comedy, and it's nailing it, I was like, fucking, yeah, he would as well. Yeah. People would love this shit. Because you're fully expecting him to go to pieces when he goes on stage.
Yeah.
And then when he nails it, you're like, oh, yeah, TV is disgusting.
Was this one of the pile of VHSs that your teacher gave you again?
This is one that I actually ended up buying myself. I had to order it. I remember going into, like Our Price. Let's take you back. I went to Our Price. I was like, hello, I would like to order The King of Comedy, please. And it was only available on VHS. So I had to wait like 3 weeks for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I did
and then I
something
watched it, but
similar.
it was all around that time, yeah.
I think I did something similar
Yeah.
to you, and I went through a kind of Scorsese phase at about 15, 16, that kind of time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, watched this as part of, and I think I had to like order it from like HMV
Yeah.
or it could have been Our Price.
Yeah.
But
didn't
yeah,
just
I
have
had the
it.
same thing.
I had to pay like, it was like £18 or something in
Yeah.
year 2000 money.
Crazy amount of money.
And I remember holding it all day. I was at sixth form and I was holding it all day and looking at the box. I couldn't wait to get home and watch it. Whereas now, kids today, you just, even if you had to buy it now, you'd buy it for $3.99 on Amazon Prime and just watch it straight away.
Yeah.
There's no like waiting for a film you want to see.
It was so hard to find back in the day, this film, like you said. And now it's just on
Yeah.
Disney Plus. There it is.
Yeah,
It's so
Disney
weird.
Plus,
it's on
King of
Disney
Comedy's on
Plus.
Disney Plus.
This was definitely one of the harder ones to find. When I think we've all talked about our cinematic awakening, and like you said, when you're learning about Scorsese, you can easily find the Raging Bulls, the Taxi Drivers, the
Yeah.
Goodfellas. But
This made absolutely no money at the box office, didn't it? It was a commercial
No,
flop.
I can
like-
totally understand why people just didn't get it, because I think people are a lot more savvy nowadays to this sort of inside baseball, like cynical look at how TV comedy works, how the entertainment industry works. Because the film is really dark, but it's so funny. Like, I can't even begin to describe how much it makes me laugh when De Niro it's so awkward as well, when he just won't leave the
he just
foyer
won't leave.
of the offices.
I'm fine. Thanks for
'Cause-
asking. That line.
Yes, yeah. And he's like, and he's got his little stock lines that he uses, and the people who work there are just like, oh, because he goes in, for people who haven't seen it, he goes into the offices when he hasn't had a response on his tape. And he shows up and goes, hi, I was hoping I'd hear about my tape. And they're like, well, yeah, don't worry, someone will get back to you. And he just goes, oh, wait. He just won't take the social cues. And he's just waiting there. And he ends up getting dragged out by security. And
I actually think like Jerry Lewis is great.
Superb.
It's just incredible as the kind of
oh, my God.
talk show host who's got everything but kind of hates it, and you know.
Yes, and he's kind of not he's not a very nice guy.
No.
Like, the character is like not particularly. We don't love him. He's but you totally get why he's like terrified. Do you know who's also brilliant in the film is De Niro's real life wife playing the girl from high school.
Oh, when they end up at the house is just
So
Great
so
scene.
good. She's hilarious, and her name's Diane Abbott. That always cracks me up. Everyone called Diane Abbott is amazing. There you go. He goes and finds what was she, like prom queen or something at his high school?
Yeah,
and she's
something like
now a barmaid, and she's like him in her mid-30s. She's clearly like down on her luck and pretty unhappy, and she sees him and is like, oh, it's you. But then when he says, I know Jerry Lewis, then she's like super into it.
yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's weird how you're rooting for the Rupert's character as well. Like, we really shouldn't be,
Yeah.
but we're kind of like,
No.
oh, I hope this plan works. And he's so proud of
it's
it
great.
when it works. He's turning the TV.
That's it. It's kind of,
I'll go to prison now. But
we're
look,
so conditioned. We're so conditioned to root for the underdog. And that never has that been clearer to me than a few weeks ago when the worst World Cup ever is on. I love international football. It doesn't really go with my personality, but I do love it. And this World Cup, I was like, fuck this World Cup. Like, what were they thinking? And then I just saw that Saudi Arabia were beating Argentina. I went, good for them. What's wrong with me? And all it is they weren't expected to win a match because they're not a good team.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, good for you, Saudi Arabia, beating the Titans of Argentina. Like, fuck off, Sooz. You don't always have to root for an underdog.
Those were Sooz Kempner's Unequal Sequels. Oh, lovely stuff, Dave.
good old-fashioned fun, that, wasn't it?
It was. And we should say you did very well holding it together, because I don't know if anyone out there would notice, but Dave had a massive migraine recording that.
I had a little headache beforehand, and I thought, this is just because I had a bit of Bailey's the night before. And then, in the middle of it, God almighty, it just hit me. You know when you light hurts and everything hurts and you just want to shut your eyes and find a hole to hide in? Well, that's how I felt. But the episode was so brilliant and so good, I was like, I'm going to stick this out.
You soldiered on, man. You soldiered on.
I was forgetting films left, right and centre. I was just a bit slow. I wasn't, firing all cylinders. But Sooz and you were, so it's brilliant.
Sooz was great. She's so funny.
So funny.
So funny.
So knowledgeable about movies as well. Her history, her, watching Scorsese films in, like, media studies. I mean, I wish I was watching films like that in media studies. I didn't even have media studies at 15.
And it shows, right, with her brilliant choices.
Yeah.
So, Colour of Money, fantastic best sequel.
A lot of people don't know it's a sequel, I don't think, because they don't know it's the sequel to The Hustler. I've never seen The Hustler, but I do know it is a sequel to it because... obviously Scorsese and Tom Cruise. I'm a bit of a completist on both those two people. If you haven't seen The Hustler, go and watch it. I'm going to go watch it now. And yes, this is a Scorsese film, which people seem to also forget because it is not that Scorsese-like, is it really?
No, that's true. You wouldn't watch it and go, oh, that's definitely Scorsese.
Yeah.
He's not got the kind of tropes that he has in his other movies in this one.
It's also a great way to find out more about Paul Newman and all his fantastic films.
Absolutely,
man's a legend.
Completely.
Yeah.
And talking of legends, the a worse sequel, Beauty and the Beast: The Enchanted Christmas. What an absolute pile of turd that is.
Yeah. When I told my wife that she picked this, and I didn't tell her it was the worst straight away, she's like, I was like, for the worst, and she's like, how dare you? Because she's a big fan of this. She watched it a lot when she was younger.
Stinks,
and I've watched
man.
this a lot now. And I've tried to convince her that it wasn't released here in this country, but apparently it was.
Well, yeah, you've been done now.
Yeah, I have to watch it every year. It's awful. The animation's awful. It doesn't make any sense. It's just shit. It's a midquel, not a sequel. It just makes me angry.
You told me before we watched it that it was only 45 minutes long, and that was a lie, isn't it, Dave?
Yes, it is. It's an hour and 15 minutes.
Which is an hour and 14 minutes too long.
Absolutely. But at least we got it back on track with the Dream sequel, which was King of Comedy. Oh, I
lovely.
mean, such an underrated film, that one, isn't it?
Again, another Scorsese film that's not a very Scorsese-like film.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's one of his better ones, or best films, I think. And
absolutely.
De Niro absolutely is insanely good in it.
I mean, this makes it into my top 10 movies list just because of the way that De Niro says Rupert Pupkin.
He's so good. I'm well, thanks for asking. No one asked you, Rupert, but I appreciate his game, because nowadays that will get you everywhere, because it's not what you know, it's who you know, and Rupert really tries to work that system, because he's never actually done any stand-up in his life, any routines apart from in his basement to his fake audience. But I would like to see a sequel now, and I like how we were both different to how we viewed the ending to Sooz, who took it on face value, but I think me and you think that's his head, right? That's in his head.
I'm not sure. I think you can watch it both. I can see how it works both ways.
Absolutely. That's why it's so clever.
But for me, I think it's probably in his head, like some of it. You know, I think maybe he gets on TV and he goes down well, but then all the rest of it, of getting fame and glory and stuff afterwards, is in his head.
You see, I don't think he gets any of it. I think it's all in his head.
Oh, really? You think all of it's in his head?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the interesting thing, though, right? There's so many ways to take this movie.
That's why the film's so good.
Yeah, and talking of things that are so good.
Perfect. Oh, my God. We're getting so good.
Talking of this, we are getting so good, apart from the fact that I just smacked my microphone when I was getting excited. But back onto things that are so good. We're now at the end of Series 4, essentially. We've got a Christmas episode coming, but otherwise that Series 4 wraps up. All of the other episodes, if you haven't listened to them, go back to the beginning of Series 1 and listen to all of the interview episodes, because they are so good. They really are. I know I'm biased, but they are really good. Then there's also all the extra little episodes as well in between. Loads of those. Whilst you're there, hit the little auto download button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll drop into your pod player of choice every single week. If you do want to support us, then you will be able to find us on anotherslice.com/unequal sequel, where we've got a subscription service for $2.99 a month, and you can get loads of extra content. It's like sequels on our interview episodes and a few other bonus features and things we're putting on there. Trying to put stuff up there really regularly so you've got something to get stuck into. More of me and Dave, if that's your thing. We know times are tough, and $2.99 a month is not nothing. So if that's not something you can afford at the moment, that's no problem. This will always remain free. This main podcast will always stay free. You can support us for absolutely gratis just by giving us a little like, a little 5 stars, a little rating, tapping us out a review on your pod player of choice, and we would really, really appreciate that. We'd love it. Also, if you don't want to do any of that, if that's too much for you, just mention us to a friend. Just say, hey, you like movies? Check these guys out. They're great. That's perfect. We'll love that forever. If you want to get in touch with us and tell us how great you are, maybe you agree with Sooz, maybe you disagree, maybe you're glad we finally got some good movies on the podcast potentially, then let us know. Get on Twitter or Instagram. We're at Unequal Sequel, or you can send us an email, unequalsequel@hotmail.com, and we'll read out all of your replies and responses in our monthly roundup coming at the end of the month.
Perfect. I love how you say that we're always going to be free, but if Spotify ever offer us like 100 million pounds, what do we do, Rich?
We will still be free.
Oh my God. Okay.
We've got to stand up for our principles, Dave. Come on.
That is true. Thank you all for listening. Go check out Another Slice. Rich made a promise on there the other day, so we have to do a film this week.
Oh yeah, we do, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, you can't make a promise, and I released it, so it's there in the world. So thank you for listening there. Rich, have you got anything else to say?
Nope, I'm done.
It is, no, I'm also done. So it is a shalom from me.
Nice. Happy Hanukkah.
Apparently that's bye in Hebrew as well. So, I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
And it is a bye-bye from him.
Bye!
We will see you next time. It will be nearly Christmas, so have a good one.
Well, yeah, it will.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Do you think people will notice that was our second attempt at recording this? Because that was so much better than the first one.
I imagine it was better than the first one because you picked the right microphone this time.
Hey, that's not my fault. It was the camera's fault. I'm not taking blame for that. Everything
you say, mate.
everything pointed to this microphone. Anyway, bye-bye.